Life news shows today, guys. I'm telling you, this has gone too far. We are literally at a breaking point. We got some big news today because there are now threats that are coming from the Democratic Party, Democratic leaders towards the Republican Party, that as soon as they get back into office, they will use lawfare against the GOP, Trump, and everyone who is working on the Trump cabinet team. And this, I'm telling you, has gone too far with what I'm about to tell you. Jim Jordan, Pam Bondi, Trump are now working to hold these people accountable for their words and for their actions, because Democrats are literally working to break the law. Listen to me here. George Soros-backed district attorneys are not even prosecuting individuals who have terrorized or harmed Tesla vehicles or dealerships. They are not even going to take the case. This goes back to these Democratic officials saying that we need to fight. We need to go and show them and get in the streets. And guys, they are vandalizing things like never before. We are seeing lawlessness take place like never before. But the problem is that it's coming from the top. They're literally advocating for these people like district attorneys who, remember, they have to take the case in order to prosecute these people that are harming individuals, harming Tesla dealerships, harming people that own Tesla property like their cars and whatnot. So now it's taking it to the next level. Pam Bondi is being pushed to take action against all these judges, these district attorneys who are allowing lawlessness to take off. And it's getting so bad, guys. We don't know where the heck Mike Johnson is, but Jim Jordan is getting heavily involved now because we need somebody to enact and put into law to hold these people accountable. If they do not create the law, then every single district attorney or every judge will continue to allow the rampant lawlessness to happen, and nobody's going to be criminally prosecuted. It is getting bad, everybody. It is the most breaking news that Tim Walsh, the former VP candidate, one of his aides, committed over $20,000 in damages to Teslas, and the DA said we're not going to charge them. And they're advising other DAs to not charge these people that are breaking the law. So things are getting heated because the threats are not coming just from the very top. They're coming across the United States. On top of that, though, flip side, because I'm bringing everything, guys. Good news is that Steve Bannon has said that President Trump is preparing to raise taxes on the rich to lower or even abolish taxes for the average American in working also with the External Revenue Service through tariffs. They're also working to reduce the amounts given to illegal immigrants through Medicare and Medicaid through these individual states, like the $1.2 billion that was given in New York to illegal migrants. The return of this money back to the taxpayers, they said, through the system will be used to give a Social Security increase on Medicare and also on Medicaid. We have all the receipts. We're going to show you in a moment, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What the heck is going on with this lawlessness? Are you ready to finally see a big increase in Social Security? But they're making some drastic changes. That's what it's going to take to make it actually work. Because again, it's the Doge savings. It's what Elon Musk is doing, because now we know this morning it was announced another $188 billion with a B that Biden illegally canceled people's student loans. Our new Secretary of Department of Education, Linda McMahon, is working to pull back and claw back that almost $200 billion, give it back into the Doge savings towards the Doge dividend checks with Elon Musk. Guys, lots of crazy news going on today. We got a lot to report to you today. But it's blowing my mind. We are literally, it's like we're living in a banana republic right now. People are picking and choosing what to prosecute, who to go after because of their political agendas. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching. Thank you to all of our subscribers and viewers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want to serve you with the top news every single day. And guys, tonight's the big night. We're going to be giving back to our local charity in tonight's show. Guys, thank you so much for your support with being a member of the channel, with giving your super chats. Guys, we're giving so much, thousands of dollars live on stream to local charity with your support. And just want to give some love to Gary Panet, Elaine Demeen. Y'all show them some love in the chat, as well as B1 Sly One already with the super chat. Guys, and if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. Things are getting crazier than I ever could have imagined. But now we're seeing the exposure that they are literally not even following the law because they hate Trump and his administration so much. Check this out.
Hunting for the wrong eggs. They're looking for one bad huevo in El Salvador, and more Democrats hopped on the caravan caucus and headed south.
After a long day, we have arrived in El Salvador. I am here with several of my colleagues to demand that Donald Trump release Kilmar Abrego Garcia, union member, Maryland man who was wrongfully detained and deported.
No.
We are here to release Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
We're also here to make a statement that this cannot be allowed and isn't allowed in our country.
This is a massive due process crisis in our country.
So instead of spending Easter Sunday with their families, Democrats went on an egg hunt in El Salvador.
Wow.
To undeport an illegal alien gang member accused of beating his wife. They could have spent Easter Sunday anywhere, but they wanted to spend it with MS-13.
You were there for an El Salvadorian man who was a resident illegally of Maryland. You're a congressman from Florida. Why are you in El Salvador?
Well, we're here because a man who had protected status in Maryland, a Maryland man, union member, worker with a citizen wife and beautiful children, was taken out of his state and out of the United States back over here without due process.
Just your run-of-the-mill union member who traffics humans from Texas to Maryland for a construction job, allegedly. Kilmar Garcia is like Zelensky. Politicians are flying in from all over the world to get a photo op. Garcia's defense attorneys bought him a non-threatening short-sleeve button-down that screams Maryland dad at a summer barbecue.
Wow.
Sources say Van Hollen insisted on soup. He didn't want Garcia holding a knife or fork. Van Hollen also insisted he didn't order the margaritas. He got duped by El Presidente of El Salvador. Democrats loved the attention Van Hollen got, and they were convinced Kilmar was safe enough to have Easter dinner with. Problem was, Garcia had plans.
Is there any chance you'll be meeting with Abrego Garcia while you're there?
We got word at the embassy that our request has been denied by the government here locally. They say it's because we're not here on an official capacity, but we're not giving up. We're going to continue. We're building off of the trip of Senator Van Hollen, and we're...
Guys, the common sense is not there. They're trying to make a news piece. They're trying to break the law and trying to bring somebody back from another country where their government is literally telling them, what are you doing here? I want to show you this, guys, because again, we're layering in the news today. Tim Walz is official. It was an aide to Tim Walz, former VP candidate of the Democratic Party. $21,000 in damages to Teslas, will face no criminal charges, the prosecutor says. Guys, this is the lawlessness. Can you believe this? We have video evidence that this person actually committed all these crimes, and yet they're choosing not to prosecute them because they're against Donald Trump. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because what we're seeing with the Democratic Party, it's cascading throughout the United States. What are we going to do about this? Like, this is literally blowing my mind that we're living in this type of America.
You know, we're not the first members here, and we're not going to be the last.
Democrats are like, you guys broke into our country. We should be able to break into yours. But they didn't have the right paperwork. It's funny how that works in other countries.
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, this right here, again, what do they choose to do? They're going after an illegal.
So this isn't an official delegation. It's basically a few politicians on vacation. Van Hollen made it back from his margarita date with Kilmar just in time for Easter, and we got stuck with the bill.
Who did pay for this trip?
This was an officially cleared, congressional trip, cleared on a bipartisan basis. Yes, like every other trip.
So instead
Taxpayer
of seeing his
dollars.
family, Van Hollen spent the weekend doing Sunday shows, bragging about his conjugal visit with MS-13. Honey, it's Easter Sunday. The kids really want to spend some time with you, and you've been gone all week. Do you have to spend Easter on TV? Republicans are calling Van Hollen the new senator from El Salvador. And the esteemed senator from El Salvador is proud of it. Gavin Newsom, who knows a thing or two about photo ops, says enough already.
Governor Gavin Newsom of California calling Mr. Abrego Garcia's case, quote, the distraction of the day. He argues Democrats are playing right into the hands of President Trump, an issue he wants to be focused on. How do you respond to Governor Newsom?
I think Americans are tired of elected officials or politicians who are all finger to the wind, what's blowing this way, what's blowing that way. And anybody who can't stand up for the Constitution and the right of due process doesn't deserve to lead.
When did Kilmar Garcia change his name to Due Process? Was it right around the time Democrats discovered he was MS-13? Last week, they were defending a Maryland man.
The Trump administration abducted and imprisoned a Maryland man.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man.
A Maryland man.
Maryland man.
The growing calls to return the Maryland man.
That Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
The wrongful deportation of a Maryland man to El Salvador.
He is, of course, the Maryland man now held in El Salvador.
What happened to the Maryland man?
Wow.
Well, he became MS-13 who gave his wife black eyes, allegedly. That's when Democrats stopped defending MS-13. Now they're defending due process for MS-13. The party that brought us cancel culture, the Me Too movement, and the Trump trials definitely cares about due process. Democrats have decided they want to be defense attorneys for MS-13. Americans hate MS-13. How do you think we feel about their defense attorneys? So what did Van Hollen talk to his client about when they were sharing marks?
Can you say with absolute certainty that he is not, nor has he ever been a member of the MS-13 gang? And did you ask him point blank?
Well, Dana, what Donald Trump is trying to do here is change the subject.
Since you were the one person to have met with him, and since this is a thing, you say on social media, it's what we hear from Donald Trump and Republicans every day, all day long, you didn't ask him?
I didn't ask him that because I know what his answer is. What he told me.
You didn't ask him that because you know what his answer is. We have evidence from Homeland Security, judges, confidants, all these people. Guys, just skating by the question. This is the slippery slope of the Democratic Party. And thank you, actually, to Dana Bash for actually pointing out the stupidity of some of our elected officials.
He was sad, traumatized that he was being in prison because he has committed no crimes.
Van Hollen spent a half hour with Kilmar and never asked, you know those tattoos on your knuckles? Please tell me those aren't MS-13, right? How many Maryland dads do you know have a marijuana leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull tatted on their fingers?
Wow.
Experts that I spoke to, people that I trust, people that are former gang prosecutors and investigators tell me that those tattoos most likely represent the letters MS and the numbers 1, 3. You take the first letter of the Spanish word representing each, and that's MS, and then you've got a cross commonly representing 1, and the last one is a C in Spanish, and it's the third letter in the alphabet, so that represents the number 3. That is my understanding.
So we asked Garcia's attorney, what's going on with the tats? Why has his wife been covering them all up with emojis and photos? Well, they just got back to us. No idea.
Guys, I'm telling you, the lawlessness is continuing to happen. Look at this, because I'm telling you, from the top down, you have elected senators, representatives of Congress, even now district DAs that are going all funded by Soros. That's what we just found out. This county attorney, Mary Moriarty, reportedly received about $500,000 from Soros groups. So the Minnesota police chief just scathed Soros-backed county attorney for refusing to bring criminal charges against Governor Tim Walz's employee for alleged $20,000 in Tesla vandalism. So now, this guy, get scot-free by this DA who will not prosecute them. Why? Because they're funded by George Soros. George Soros says, don't do it. You don't have to take that case. Doesn't matter if he broke the law. Set him free. Guys, this is the most corrupt thing I think I could ever report to you. That a person that we have video evidence that they actually committed the crimes is now walking scot-free. The police chief is literally saying, what the heck are we doing? What is going on right now? And it's all because these DAs can choose what and not to prosecute. And then we find out that they've received over $500,000 from George Soros's foundations. Now you tell me, are we living in the future America? Are we exposing all the corruption to the highest level? Because look at this, guys. The Democrats are doubling down. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
I'll be retired by the time these guys get deported. And don't worry, I don't plan on retiring soon. The only people who want to slow walk deportations are lawyers, illegals, and Van Hollens.
Right here.
The rest of the country wants them gone, and they don't care where they go. Democrats let foreign gangs invade America, and now they're whining that Trump's deporting them too fast. And the media says anyone who supports deporting illegals is a Nazi.
What did Hitler do in the Holocaust? He took people from Germany to other countries.
Yeah.
Where there was no German law. There was not even a pretense of German law. They took them to Poland or, Hungary or whatever, and they killed them.
And so when you see what's happening right now with this
serious?
El Salvadoran gulag, I mean, the CCOT gulag, he's basically taking a page out of that playbook, you think?
First of all, Matthews looks shipwrecked. And if deporting illegals makes you Hitler, then Barack Obama should have a little mustache. He deported over 3 million illegals, and Matthews got a thrill up his leg. Now, the media says if Trump can deport Latin American gangsters, your daughter is going to get kidnapped from chemistry class.
If they could do it to them, if they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. To be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next in line.
Guys, listen to... tell me in the chat, tell me in the comments, when people say, talk like this, you're talking, this is not the news. This is opinion pieces being pushed as the news, as propaganda. To me, this is where you lose your broadcasting license. You don't get to just have a free, say whatever you want, that Trump is going to go after people of color, minorities, to deport them. For what? He's literally deporting people that illegally entered the United States. Tell me, why do we even have options like this for the news?
Trump campaigned on deporting Biden migrants. He won, so he's doing it. Biden never campaigned on opening the borders. He did it and lost. That's democracy. But Jamie Raskin doesn't like that and says if foreign leaders work with a president who wins in a landslide, Democrats are going to punish them.
If and when we come back to power, and we will, we are not going to look kindly upon people who facilitated, to use a word of the day, who facilitated authoritarianism in our country.
Democrats say Trump.
Right there, guys. They're already preparing, just like they did in Trump's first term. They went after Bannon, Navarro, went after Trump, and so many people. This is what I was talking about with Pam Bondi, Jim Jordan, that said, you cannot do this. You cannot say that as soon as you get into power, you're basically going to use lawfare to go after people. That is not how America works. But now we're already hearing it from the Democratic Party. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. If you appreciate the truth, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, this is insane.
Trump's a dictator, and now they're saying just wait until they get back in power? I'm confused. They can't even get their hoaxes straight. Everyone in Maryland says El Salvador can keep this guy.
So there's this illegal immigrant.
Guys, let me tell you this. Everything that I'm showing you, this is happening in America right now. Look at this. There's people this is a Tesla dealership. They're spray painting Doge. No, they're going to write bureaucrats. No unelected bureaucrats. This is what blows my mind. You have a guy, the richest man in the world, who says, you know what? We need to expose the fraud, waste, and abuse. And we need to show the American people. We will even build out a website, the Doge.gov website. We will even build out a website, and we will show people exactly what is going on. We will be so transparent with everything that we're doing. All of our latest work. Looking at the savings per taxpayer. Looking at the departments by department. Looking at the spend. Where did it go through? How much? Looking at the workforce. How much headcount? How many offices? We will bring so much transparency. The regulations. How much was done per year? And yet, people are saying that this unelected bureaucrat is the one who's trying to destroy America right now, who's trying to take over America. You've never seen this level of transparency from any Congress, whether you're Republican or Democrat, in our entire existence as a nation. But yet when a immigrant who says, hey guys, let's be transparent, people are saying we got to take him out. Death threats against him and his family. Deport him. They literally said deport this South African. Like, they're being no filters. They're being racist. They're calling threats on his life. And it blows my mind how much we have, as an American people, have lost our morals, values, and principles when it comes to being in America, guys. Like, I can't fathom this, but we're at the point now with what I'm about to show you next. There is a team that is working with Trump, because you've seen these judges, guys. I'm preparing you. You've seen these judges. You've seen these district attorneys who are just doing whatever the heck they want, saying that every single criminal illegal alien needs due process. And Trump's already calculated it. He said it's going to take well over 100 years to put every single criminal alien through due process. It's not worth it. That they are looking to do away with habeas corpus in America for these illegal migrants, meaning that they do not get the same due process as Americans. And they're just, if we can identify that they're illegal and they're not a U.S. citizen and they don't have all the necessary documentation, that they will be deported. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Listen to this.
What do you do when your own intelligence apparatus around the president is trying to undercut him so he has no standing in the court when he does exactly what you say he has to do, which is suspend habeas corpus and start rolling him out of here, brother?
Mm-hmm. Well, is that the same deep state that indicted him 4 times? We don't care what they say, okay? We have common sense. We watched our country be invaded for 4 years by 10 to 15 million illegal aliens, many of them men of fighting age, okay? And when I say suspend the writ, not only is this a constitutional power in Article 1, Section 9, but we're not even suspending it for American citizens, okay? There's none of that. These are illegal aliens. They do not have a right to be here. They get deported. If the courts want to stop us, we go around the courts by using constitutional authority to do so. And the president who used this the most is the Democrats' favorite president of all time, FDR, okay? FDR used it. Abraham Lincoln used it, and Ulysses S. Grant used it. And you know what? They're all their faces are on our money, okay? They ended up being pretty good looking in historical hindsight, and Trump has the chance to do that. We have to normalize this. You cannot allow 20 million illegal aliens to invade our country and allow them to stay. This is an invasion. That is what an invasion is. Time to start taking drastic action. I understand what President Trump is doing. He's going through the process. He's exposing that Democrat Marxist judges are going to stop him every step of the way. At a certain point, I feel he's going to have no decision but to do this. And you know what? If he stands strong and he does it, he'll win in a landslide in the midterms, because this is what Americans want on both sides of the aisle.
Here's my concern, Davis, and you called this with Judge Thomas and or Justice Thomas and Alito. Is there a civil war? First off, it was released at 1 o'clock in the morning on something that's important. That sounded odd. Number 2.
Did you hear that? this newest judgment where they're blocking Trump from using the Aliens Act of 1798. They literally passed it, made the judgment at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now you tell me, no good thing happens after 12 a.m. You're supposed to be asleep. Something's going on, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
I'm not sure. I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to play one, although I've got a major case of a review en banc at the appellate court. It sounded odd. It seemed like there were some pieces missing. And then he had Alito come out with this kind of sharp edge through a couple of elbows on his, and that's not really his style that much, I don't think. Are we brewing a civil war on the Supreme Court about the direction of this country and the direction of the Trump presidency, sir?
This is a very disappointing ruling by the Supreme Court. Now, remember, it's just a temporary order saying that the government can't ship out these Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorists until the court further rules. But I don't know how the court even thinks it had jurisdiction to do what it did late on Friday night, on Good Friday. You had these ACLU plaintiffs who essentially put a self-imposed deadline on the district court in Texas, giving the district court 45 minutes on Friday to rule. And then the ACLU moved forward with an appeal to the Fifth Circuit, which divests the district court of jurisdiction. And then the Fifth Circuit has indicated it was getting ready to rule on this matter. And then the Supreme Court used the emergency docket impermissibly. They didn't have jurisdiction to issue this stay under the All Writs Act. I mean, Justice Alito's opinion is spot on, that the opinion that Justice Thomas joined, to me, it is a total head scratcher that the three Trump justices who made many assurances to the Trump administration that they're going to be constitutionalist and originalist and they're going to follow the law. I don't think they did that on Good Friday. I don't think they did that when they failed to join this opinion. So you have to ask why. Why was there such lawlessness and cowardice by the Supreme Court? And this is a very important question because this goes to the heart of the Supreme Court's legitimacy. President Trump campaigned on the fact that he is going to secure our border and he's going to deport illegal immigrants. They are all criminals, right? He's going to especially focus on Tren de Aragua, foreign terrorists, and MS-13 gangbangers. And President Trump is doing exactly what he promised American voters he can do, and he's following the law. It's these lawless judges on the district courts and now the lawless judges on the Supreme Court who are just making up the law as they're going. They're essentially becoming judicial activists, telling the president that he has to halt planes. How long are they going to hobble the...
Guys, I'm telling you, when I show you the receipts, guys, look at this. Tim Walz's official, who is an aide to Tim Walz, former VP candidate of the Democratic Party, who caused 21,000 damages to Teslas, will face no criminal charges. The prosecutor says this is a Soros-backed DA who has been given over $500,000 from these Soros campaign funds, from Soros-backed foundations. They're making the law up as they go. There is no, like, when it comes to the Democrats now, they have completely gone so far that they are literally not even following the law to prosecute people that we have all the evidence, the video evidence of what they've done because of who they're connected to. That's what he's talking about. If something's gonna happen, guys, I promise you, Pam Bondi or Kash Patel, something's gonna get so bad because there's money. We know there's money involved. We know they're not following the law, and these judges are not acting normal. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
President and his ability to get these foreign terrorists the hell out of our country. What process is due. And why are we so concerned about Tren de Aragua terrorists? Why can't they file habeas petitions? So here's the bottom line. This is what President Trump needs to do. He needs to round up all these illegal immigrants. He needs to detain them in Texas or Guantanamo or wherever he wants to detain them. And then they can sit in that holding pen until the Supreme Court figures out what due process is due to these people.
Wow.
My concern is deep. You're the constitutional lawyer. You come on, you do an amazing job. You worked there. You were a clerk there. You were the guy that got us, got people through. You worked for Grassley for years. You know the power politics of it. Here's my concern, brother. Is the Supreme Court starting to get rabbit ears? Are they starting to listen to the firestorm that's outside? Because the only way they're stopping Trump right now, to delay is to deny. They understand the federal courts, and this is just going to get them. You're going to see, just we came on here, Harvard dropped a suit against President Trump. You're now going to see dozens of suits every time we do something, because people feel that the Supreme Court blinked. They feel that the Supreme Court is saying, we don't want to touch this, right? We want.
Guys, if you agree with Bannon, if you agree with this, guys, show your love in the chat. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, common sense is telling us something is wrong. They're electing not to do this. They are choosing to side with the Democrats.
To go away. Am I wrong there, sir?
No, you're not. It depends on how they recover from this. They blinked when they let Judge Allie, this Biden judge who got jammed through in the lame duck session after Trump won the White House and Republicans won the Senate. They jammed through Judge Allie, who's still a Canadian citizen, by the way. I don't know how the heck that happens, but this guy sent $2 billion out the door under a temporary restraining order where President Trump could not do a national security review to make sure we're not funding Hamas terrorists in Gaza, right? So that's where this activism really went on steroids. The Supreme Court blinked, and they blinked again on Good Friday because somehow they think it's acceptable to tell the President of the United States through an all writs act where they don't have jurisdiction that he can't deport Tren de Aragua terrorists. And I would say this, if the Supreme Court in 2023 wrote an opinion authored by Justice Brett Kavanaugh that essentially said that Joe Biden has the discretion to give amnesty, to not follow our immigration laws. Now, they'll come up with a better legal way to say it, but that's essentially how he ruled, that the president has the discretion to how he wants to handle immigration, right? So if Joe Biden had the discretion to let in 15 million illegal aliens who have robbed, kidnapped, raped, tortured, and murdered women and children in this country with Tren de Aragua and MS-13, but President Trump does not have the discretion to reverse that and get these people the hell out of our country, we are going to lose our country. If the president cannot secure our border from MS-13 vicious gang members and Tren de Aragua foreign terrorists who are working with Venezuela to sabotage our country, if the president at a minimum cannot get rid of that tiny slither of these 15 million illegal immigrants, we're not going to have a country left.
Guys, it's 100% true. What I'm about to show you next, guys, they've been doing this for a long, long time. We bring the receipts. Things are being exposed, guys. I hope you're sitting down for what I'm about to show you. But I want to say thank you so much, Elizabeth Rancor, for the super chat. Said all Americans need to file a class action lawsuit against the Biden administration for criminal endangerment for flooding the U.S. with all the criminal illegal aliens over the last 4 years. Let's go. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And Anna, thank you so much for the super chat. You said, I am new here. Just wanted to thank you for doing this. You are appreciated. Heard you call me by my whole name yesterday. Please call me by Anna. Anna, I got you. Y'all show Anna and Elizabeth some love in the chat. This right here, your taxpayer dollars. Your taxpayer dollars, guys. Democrat activists Nandini Jami and Claire Atkin didn't receive USA funding directly, but it is clear that the federal funding has been laundered through other NGOs to organizations like theirs. With USAID funding cutting off, scores of Democrat NGOs are shutting down. These people were literally being paid to put up and fight ads to tell people to stop buying ads on X, Fox News, Daily Wire, Daily Caller, Post Millennial, and Glenn Beck. Your taxpayer dollars were funding the opposition through these NGOs to try to push people not to advertise on these platforms. All this is coming out, guys, and we wouldn't have known if it wasn't for Trump and Elon Musk. B1 Sly One, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, from Deanna and I for tonight's donation, we love this community and helping it to grow. I love it. 1776. Y'all show B1 Sly with some love in the chat. Because I'm telling you guys, in Congress, the only one that I see fighting is who you're about to see right now. And that's why he's being brought up. Check this out.
Was Judge Boseberg correct when he said turn the plane around?
So, I think that protecting the jurisdiction of his court...
That wasn't the question. Was he correct when he said turn the plane around, bring the guys back who harassed Miss Romero, drove her out of her home, harassed her neighbors, shot her car? Was he correct when he said turn the plane around, bring those individuals back to the United States?
Based on the record before him, I think that was an absolutely defensible decision to have made in the time-pressured condition.
Miss Romero, what do you think? You agree with the professor and with the judge? Three of those individuals on the plane, Thomas Murillo Pena was wanted for kidnapping in Chile, was in the Denver area where they got him. Javier Vargas Lugo, attempted kidnapping, was in the Denver area. Nixon Azusa Perez was in the Aurora area. He may have been one of the guys who harassed you. Do you think that plane should have came back and brought those individuals back to the United States?
I feel safer every time a plane is loaded up and leaving this country.
Yeah, I was, the previous member from California talked about your riveting testimony. One of the lines you had in your testimony that got everyone's attention was, quote, there are no government programs to grant citizens temporary protected status from imported gangs in our country. Amen to that. There is none. And that's why this is so important that we move these people out. Mr. Speaker, should the judge who's been assigned the Hegseth case, Judge Boseberg, should he recuse himself from that case? And understand the standard, I know you do, Speaker. The standard is a reasonable person. Would a reasonable person believe that this judge can't be impartial with this case?
Right.
And I would just remind you of a couple things. This is the judge who was on the FISA court when they granted warrants to spy on President Trump's campaign. This is the judge who handled the Kevin Kleinsmith case, an FBI lawyer who lied to the FISA court to help get those warrants and was given a slap on the wrist by Judge Boseberg. Not my words, the Wall Street Journal said it, because it was. He was a member of the bar, lied to a court, and got some probationary sentence. So now this judge said, turn the plane around, and now he's been assigned the Hegseth case. And I'm just asking, do you think Judge Boseberg should recuse himself from that case?
Look, I think this is a classic case where the Chief Justice should intervene. I mean, when you have a blatant, continuing record of prejudice, that judge should not be put in charge of a case. And as I said earlier, I'm not for going through the whole process of impeachment because I think it's at a practical level not possible. I am, however, for using the potential capacity of the Congress to simply defund, which Jefferson did and which clearly is possible. But I think what you just described is illustrative of why I use the term coup d'etat. You have a small group of people who believe that they have the right to arrogate rejecting the American people and doing whatever they want and cooperating with people who clearly were behaving illegally. I mean, that's one of the great tragedies of the last 6 or 8 years is it's the government which has been illegal. It's the FBI which was illegal. And how can you possibly have the rule of law when the people in charge of the law are illegal? I think in that case, you raise a very powerful point.
Mr. Larkin, should Judge Boseberg recuse himself in the Hegseth case?
Oh, I don't want to offer an opinion about a specific case that I'm, know only.
Do you think Judge Boseberg, based on what the speaker just said, what I highlight, think Judge Boseberg has a bias against President Trump and what he's trying to accomplish?
That's just phrasing the same question another way. I don't want to comment on opinion.
That's what we do in Congress.
Guys, let me tell you this. All these district attorneys, every single one of them has a bias right now. that we are witnessing firsthand. To say that they don't have a bias is to be naive, and you are not living in the same reality, guys. If you appreciate this, if you appreciate Jim Jordan, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I think we need this guy as speaker. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of time.
Yeah, when I was an agent, we did the same thing to see if we could get the suspect to say something.
How about this, Speaker Gingrich? I think you're exactly right. We have three avenues to address this. We can do legislative, which we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to pass Chairman Iss's bill, which says that some district judge injunction doesn't apply nationwide. We may want to come back with another bill that says automatic appeal to the Supreme Court, what you've suggested, and we're looking at that very thing. Second, we have oversight, which is what we're doing now. We're highlighting how ridiculous some of these decisions have been. Yeah. And third, what you pointed out is we got the appropriations process. The ultimate power we have, Mr. Massey's right, the power of the purse, we should use it. We should use all three of those avenues to make sure the will of the people, we the people, gets accomplished.
Yes.
Well, my personal view is that if you were to pass the ISA bill tomorrow, you just sent a very clear and compelling signal to the Chief Justice
Sure did.
that he had better get out of lecturing the Congress and get into managing the judiciary, or he's going to be facing a real crisis of the system and a real erosion of judicial authority.
Well said. I yield back.
Guys, there's breaking news that's happening. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to show you what's going on right now, guys. Another federal judge in D.C. orders the Trump admin to reinstate VOA workers and resume their operations. How in the world can a person be the boss of a branch like the executive branch, Trump, and he can't fire nobody, he can't do nothing, because anytime he does anything, there's a federal judge's order that tells him to do the opposite. So I don't understand. What America are we living in now? If this was Trump's goal to get into office and expose all this, I think he's doing a pretty good job. There's so much corruption going on, guys. Even this right here, I showed you earlier. Soros's DA won't charge Governor Tim Walz's aide for Tesla vandalism. We have the evidence. Look, we have the video evidence of this guy vandalizing Tesla vehicles. But this DA, who is very leftist, very progressive, far left, is now saying, no, I don't want to prosecute them. Did he commit the crimes? 100%. Is he going to be in trouble? No. This is why Jim Jordan and Pam Bondi are working to create something where they can officially enact at the federal level when something like this happens, because now we can't even trust our local DAs to do their dang job and hold people accountable whenever they're committing violence like this. It's sickening, guys. And it's getting to the point where everybody's saying, what type of country are we? What are we even living in right now? Because the things that they're supposed to be doing, they're not. And now it's getting even worse. Check this out.
Paulina Luna joins us now. Before we get to the crazy threats, Congresswoman, why do you think it is that these protests are packed with seemingly single female senior citizens and they-thems?
Well, you know, what's more interesting, Jesse, is that they're finding a lot of these protesters are also going to other protests, meaning that they're busting them in. But you know what's interesting is all these people singing.
Look at this right here, guys, because again, he's right. Out of this entire picture of about 30, probably 40 people, I do not see any black men, Hispanic men. I see a couple of dudes, maybe. I don't know. It's on the left. Tell me what you think. They don't have jobs. Think about it, guys. If you got a job and you're doing something with your life, you ain't got time for this.
And these people, these they-thems, they're all inclined to do this until, you know, you actually move these illegals to someplace like Martha's Vineyard, and then we all know how that ended.
Right. Then you have the tampon staffer. Do you think, because they said Trump incited January 6th, even though he said march peacefully and patriotically, could you indict Tampon for inciting his staffer to go commit vandalism?
Well, look, frankly, right now, I do believe that the Justice Department needs to be aggressively pursuing all of these people that are knowingly breaking federal law and doing things that they know are undermining the American people's agenda. What I will tell you, Jesse, is that, if we're talking on things like sanctuary city mayors, for example, I did a criminal referral for some of these mayors to the Department of Justice, and we haven't heard anything back yet. So they need to get on it because, frankly, I think the American people are tired of Congress saying that things need to happen and then obviously nothing happening.
Yeah, my governor in New Jersey, I believe, is under investigation for not cooperating with ICE, and he needs to. And that's not a threat because I'm just talking as a constituent, Anna Paulina Luna. Why do you think these people seem so unhappy? It's a beautiful day. It's Easter weekend. They should be spending some time with their families. And I'm not against people voicing their opinions or marching for what's right and wrong. That's America. But there just doesn't seem to be people who are grounded in a reality of a happy life.
I'll tell you, Jesse, it seems like for the most part, a lot of these people are not religiously based. I can also tell you that just based on the rhetoric coming out of them, whether it's making calls for violence against, conservatives or Republicans that disagree with them, pushing things that would obviously emphasize big government over parental values, and obviously pushing for a very secular society instead of acknowledging that Jesus Christ and what Easter represents. I think that is a factor here. But what I will also say, Jesse, is at the end of the day, these people, I would say, have largely been programmed from legacy media that's really operated in the tents and really fear-mongering these people to understand that, they believe genuinely in their heart of hearts that Trump is bad, that if you're Republican, you're a xenophobic,
I believe
and,
that.
Everything else in between. And that's simply not the case, which is why, Fox News is important, which is why social media platforms like X is important, because we have to push back with the facts so that these people aren't essentially indoctrinated into encouraging violence and ultimately, I think, bringing violence on elected officials.
And before we let you go, Congresswoman, did those pink platform heels go with the suspenders, or was that a fact?
Guys, let me tell you this. You can't make this stuff up. Imagine taking 30% of everyone's money and still being $36 trillion in debt. You take 30% of not 300, because only, I think it's like 60% of Americans actually pay taxes. 40% of Americans don't pay taxes. And they may say, well, they take it out of my check. Yeah, but you get a big refund. Okay, so, being real, 40% of Americans actually don't pay taxes. By the time you do all your deductions, and by the time you do all your tax credits, you don't. But 60% of Americans pay 20, when you add in Social Security, Medicare, all that stuff, 20 to 30%, and we're still $36 trillion in debt, guys. It's so bad. I got to show you this because remember Trump's big lawsuit over 60 Minutes? Well, guess what? We got updated news. Bill Owens is out of 60 Minutes after clashing with CBS brass over Trump's $20 billion lawsuit, which claims an interview with Kamala was cut to make her shine and Trump squirm. Guess what? It's about dang time. These people that try to use their own networks to push propaganda, push an elected official, make Kamala Harris look smart, which we know that's a very, very hard thing to do. We're constantly finding out that, guess what? Owens spent 37 years at CBS and now they're out. This is what we're knowing, guys, is that all these, New York Times, CBS, MSNBC, all of these are being called out in real time by Trump's pit bulls. I'm starting to be a super big fan of Lee Zeldin. Listen to this, guys, because if you can call people out in real time, we push this. When you share these videos, when you like these videos, we push this truth. Listen to this.
How is that zero evidence? How is it no evidence? How can any paper, Politico has written it, Washington Post has written it, the New York Times has written it, others have written that there's no evidence. And now we're all together, and I'm glad that we are. And it's, it's April 21st? It's April 21st, 2025. Why should any story get written after today that says no evidence? Go ahead.
Just a question, sir. Oh, sorry. Thanks. Lisa Friedman with the New York Times. Where has a judge said that this is fraud?
I'm saying New York Times said it, Lisa. Lisa, if New York Times is going to write that there is no evidence.
Not true, sir. We've written that that judges have not found.
Okay, over the last
accurate?
few months, Lee Zeldin, administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, has made explosive, you know this because you wrote it, has made explosive accusations against the Biden administration, accusing it of insane malfeasance in its handling of $20 billion in climate grants. Now, as a legal battle ensues over those funds, many of Mr. Zeldin's claims remain unsupported and some are flat out false. Why wouldn't you write that there is any evidence?
Could you point us to where the judges have found that there's waste, fraud,
Oh,
and
see,
abuse,
it's
sir?
not that easy for you, Lisa. See, because you guys are writing stories. These
here.
are your words. These aren't the judge's words. So if you want to ask the question, I'm referring to one of your stories. And this came out before the judge's decision came out. Now, if you were to, did you read the judge's 39-page decision?
Sir, with all
Have
due
you read the
respect,
39-page decision?
We've read the decision. We are basing our reporting on judges' rulings before then and since. And I'm just asking you, sir, where has the judge found that there's waste, fraud, and abuse?
So you read the 39-page decision supporting a preliminary injunction? It's okay if you say no.
No, I've read all of it.
Okay, that's okay.
Oh, really? So 2 seconds ago, you said we have read it all, that when he asked, have you read it? Oh, no, I haven't read it. Guys, I'm telling you, this right here, calling him out in real time. This is the New York Times pushing propaganda that Lee Zeldin is calling them out in real time, saying, you keep telling lies.
Nowhere in it does it acknowledge anything that I just said. It doesn't even acknowledge it. So if the New York Times wants to say that there is no evidence, and Politico wants to say it, and Washington Post wants to say it, and others want to say that there's no evidence. See, I have a job to make sure that I don't waste tax dollars.
Yes.
And then for people in the media to be willing to sacrifice your own integrity and the integrity of your paper to make a claim that there's no evidence supporting it. Well, I could stand here before you, and I just went through a list of how many things did I just mention? 10? I don't know what the list is. And then you'll go out and write a story saying that there's no evidence of any wrongdoing.
Right here.
I have a duty to make sure that we don't light on fire billions of dollars of tax dollars. And
if you didn't know, Lee Zeldin has already saved us over $20 billion from all the wasteful spending in his department, the EPA department.
I am, as administrator of EPA, not going to stand before any member of the media and get bullied into lighting billions of dollars on fire. And then you'll continue to write these stories that say that there is no evidence. Even though I could stand before you right now and just go through the list. How do you square that?
May I ask, sir, do you feel confident that a court will uphold?
I'm asking you, how do you square that? You guys are writing the stories. Shouldn't you write the story about what kind of evidence has been put out? Why not write the story? Why not write the story that says, hey, here's the 25 things that Administrator Zeldin says that he calls evidence. And then you could be critical of it if you want to. But how about instead of, why would you not write that story?
Could you speak, though, to why a judge has not supported this, has not said yes?
The district court judge didn't even have jurisdiction to hear the case.
So do you hear this, guys? The propaganda of all these left-wing media outlets is, we have to go to the judge. The judge has to rule it. This is literally a cabinet member over the Department of the EPA who has said, look, we have the evidence. We found $20 billion in wasteful fraud spending that wasn't supposed to be there. And now she's literally telling everybody, has a judge ruled on it? Did a judge say it was wasteful? Did a judge say it was abuse? Where are we going in America, guys? If you appreciate that we are exposing how dumb and idiotic and ignorant these people who are supposedly professional journalists that would look at me and say, Joel, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't have to know everything. All I have to do is present the evidence. People have common sense. Hit that thumbs up like button, guys. We appreciate your support, but this is what people are dealing with. This is why people are so confused nowadays, because you have a lady like this who can't even look at the facts and common sense. She quickly says, no, did a judge rule it? Judges don't get involved with spending in the federal government. So why is it that they have to rule whether something is right or wrong? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section.
Why the judge writes a 39-page opinion and doesn't even acknowledge that this even exists? Go read page 29. Oh, this is a good one. You're a reporter for the New York Times. You're probably going to be all over this. Look at footnote 7 on page 29.
I will.
Okay, and the judge.
Do you like it how he called it and said, look, he's not looking down. He knows it from memory because he remembered it. Go to this page, look at this footnote. Bam. That's what you talk about, having the right person in the right seat.
The judge says that there was no action, no amendment that was made post-election. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to the story that says, well, what about January 13th of 2025, 1 week before inauguration? The accounts were being amended. And then talk about what the amendment was. It was an amendment to reduce EPA oversight, to make it harder to conduct oversight. The judge actually says that nothing happened after the election. So I am imagining that you are going to be filled with so much outrage when you read that footnote to the judge's opinion that says that that doesn't even exist.
Guys, I'm telling you, like, if we are at a point now. Look at this from the Homeland Security. I want to say thank you so much, Adeline Starr, for the super chat. Let's go. Said, I love all you in this chat. Thank you so much, Joel. You are now my go-to for the news. We will win in the end. Just don't lose faith, everyone. We got this. Let's go. Y'all show Adeline some love in the chat. Homeland Security said illegal aliens have exploited outdated systems to defraud Americans and taint our elections. DHS is revamping the SAVE program to ensure government officials can swiftly verify statuses, halting entitlements, and voter fraud. Remember, at the border, the Biden administration was literally handing illegals as they were crossing over. They were handing them entitlement papers to fill out. Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, housing, all this stuff as they were walking across. People want to say that we're living like that Trump is undoing democracy right now. Have they not been alive the past 4 years under the Biden administration? Listen to this.
Rich, the former Speaker of the House. All right, Speaker, in your illustrious career, have you ever witnessed a time where the Democratic Party has dug in so deeply and so firmly on an issue that's such a loser? I can't think of any other time.
Look, this is so bad that it's funny. I mean, these guys have lost their minds. They're going off the deep end. You know, I mean, how often was Van Hollen upset about Americans who got killed by illegal immigrants? Never. How deeply was he concerned about the families of victims of violence by illegal immigrants? Never. Where's the outrage? But suddenly, he's found this symbol. I mean, look, I've been around a long time. I've dealt with a lot of Democrats. I have never seen the Democratic Party this deranged. I mean, if you watch them, it's like they're looking around trying to find the weirdest, strangest things they can be for. And they're out there, you know, I mean, give me a chance to be for males playing in girls' sports. Give me a chance to be for the most radical possible position on illegal immigration. Give me a chance to go out there and stand firmly for a whole series of ideas that nobody else in America wants. I mean, this is really remarkable, and it's almost like the party has lost its head.
Are they doing this because Trump is deporting this guy? I mean, if any other president were getting rid of guys like this, they probably wouldn't say anything. They definitely wouldn't be going to have margaritas in El Salvador with them. Is it just Trump derangement syndrome here?
I mean, part of it, to be fair, is that President Trump is probably the best modern politician at getting his opponents totally screwed up. He has some knack. I don't know how he does it, but he just intuits. if I do X, you're going to jump off the cliff and look like an idiot. So every morning he gets up and he thinks, oh, gee, I think I'll tweet something that guarantees they'll be crazy. And I would say 4 times out of 5, it works. And they go and do things, totally stupid. And they don't seem to get it. This is worse than Lucy with the football and peanuts. Remember, she used to always pull the football at the last minute? This is embarrassingly bad, and they don't seem to be able to get a grip on themselves. In fact, I suspect they get in a room, all the big donors, a lot of alcohol, hanging out, and they go, God, Van Hollen, you're so good. You're so courageous. We're so glad you're going out there making a fool of yourself. I can't figure out any other sociological explanation of this level of insanity.
Maybe they should stop drinking with donors and maybe hit the streets like Johnny to hear what the people really think. That'd be a step in the right direction.
On behalf of the left wing of their party, maybe I'll just relax, give up on alcohol, take a couple tokes, get totally out there and relax because, baby, it's all going to be so good.
It was just 420. Maybe that explains it. Speaker, thank you so much.
Guys, let me tell you this. We're keeping up with this story. We reported on it. I'm not letting it go, guys, because when it comes to saving money, taking care of people, doing the right thing, I just want to bring this up again because there is going to be justice, I believe. January 6th, political prisoners, remember, launched a historic $50 billion class action lawsuit against the DOJ back in December 27th of 2024. They're going through the proceedings. Now that we have the new DOJ, they're getting more information. I hope we get justice for these people. This popped up on my thing and I wanted to show you it, guys, because again, so they want to talk about due process for this illegal immigrant that came here illegally and did all this crazy stuff. What about the January 6th political prisoners? What about their due process? Didn't give much to them, just pretty much hung them out to dry. Now I want to show you this, guys, because this right here, we're talking almost $200 billion that Biden illegally handed out. But it's coming back to the taxpayers for the Doge savings, for the Doge checks. Check this out.
The Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, has announced plans to claw back the $188 billion in student loan forgiveness granted under Joe Biden. In an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, she writes, quote, debt doesn't go away, it gets transferred to others. If borrowers don't pay their debts to the government, taxpayers do. America's Newsroom co-anchor and the 5 co-hosts, Dana Perino, one of those people, also a taxpayer, joins us right now.
Yes, believe me, taxpayer.
Well, remember when this all happened, it looked like Joe Biden was trying to buy the votes of young people who had outstanding student loans. Didn't work. It didn't work. But it cost all of us.
So it was a COVID-era policy. It's time for it to go away.
Right.
What she announced yesterday, and in the Wall Street Journal piece today that I thought was very good, is that the gravy train is over. And also remember, it was Nancy Pelosi who said, Joe Biden doesn't have the legal authority to do this. They tried to do it anyway. The courts kept pushing it back. So they had false hopes, false promises to people. And I understand the student loan debt can be a burden. It doesn't mean that the system shouldn't be changed or that the interest rate couldn't be lowered. But they are going to have to pay it back. Nobody helped somebody that bought an F-150 as a plumber pay that bill. And none of us should have to. They pay their bill.
For you to think that your student loan that you signed for, that you put your name on for something you wanted to do, should be forgiven. That's the nice word. No, should be passed off to other people in the form of putting it on other taxpayers. That is just wrong. There's nowhere on God's green earth that is right, that you chose to do it. Nobody made you do it. And then because you don't want to pay it back, these tens of thousands of dollars, now you get to pawn it off on somebody else. I am so happy that this is happening.
Everyone should pay their bills. It doesn't mean the system can't be reformed.
Here's what she writes. I have another hard truth for the institutions that made empty promises to students while pocketing their loan dollars. Colleges and universities call themselves nonprofits, but for years they have profited massively off the federal subsidy of loans, hiking tuition and piling up billion-dollar endowments. while students graduate 6 figures in the red.
Right. So more truth in advertising is good. Better decision making is also good. The other thing that she says is that they have set up more help to help figure out a way so that the payment can fit your budget. That has to come true. They have to be able to answer the phone and get answers for that. Hopefully that will work out. She's also using artificial intelligence to help make that happen.
No kidding. Yeah. Call somebody. All right.
Guys, I'm telling you, we're moving forward. Everybody watching, guys, I want to say thank you so much for your support to all of our viewers, all our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want you here. We're so thankful for everybody that participates in the chat, that gives your comments, that participates in our polls. Guys, we want to grow this community and bring the truth to as many people as possible. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, we got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that are just, we need reform right now in America. But what we're doing, most of all, is we're exposing the corruption. And that's what we want to do. And yes, OGD Dog, we need some arrest. Because until you arrest them, they're not going to change. Nothing's going to change. But I want to say thank you to everybody. Remember, tonight's the big night that we give our online donation to a local charity, guys. We're giving thousands of dollars back to a local charity with your support. When you're a member of the channel, when you give a super chat, we take that money and we give it back to a local charity live on stream, so you can see that I'm participating and I'm giving back. And that's in my heart, guys. That's in this community. And I want to thank you so much for your support. Want to say thank you so much, Miss Monica 47. Welcome to the family. B1 Sly One, Elizabeth Rancor, Anna Diaz, I'm saying the last name, but Anna, B1 Sly One, Adeline Starr. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. So excited for tonight. I love you all. Appreciate you so much for liking these videos, for sharing these videos. Me and my family are truly grateful, and we just want to serve you guys. Every day with the top news, that's our job. We bust our butt to make sure that happens. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.